your input was input into this making of this film?
I have the same relationship with the movies from Pixar that I have with the internally made movies, because to me they're all the same. They're all movies that need to be guided and protective and watched over. And when you work with a director as accomplished and as smart and as bright and passionate as John Lasseter, it's a very inviting collaborative environment. We meet once a week on every one of the movies we're doing together. We review the story, we review the casting, the characters, the design, the sequences themselves, what we're going to put into production, and that's an ongoing collaboration. When John is the director, he's the director of the movie, but my relationship is the same to him as a director of a movie as it would be to the directors of, say, Tarzan. That's my job. My job is to corral, protect, encourage, and support all the different filmmakers who are making films within feature animation.
And, well, we are about to end the millennium, and one of the things I enjoy about the movie that I just saw yesterday is that you come out of the movie happy with life, and I've been it's not been many times recently that I came out of a theater like that. It's not only because it's a Disney movie, but it's a very nice movie with a beautiful outlook of life and relationship, helping us even to care about not animated things like toys, which maybe will help us to be a little bit more considerate to our fellow man. How do you see this new era that's going to start very soon? Do we have any hope coming up? And I ask that because you're in charge of producing this kind of product.
Do you want to ask it in Portuguese?
A gente está à beira do novo milênio. E hoje em dia são poucos os filmes do qual você sai com uma sensação de maior amor pela humanidade. O que você, um criador de cinema desse tipo, tem como expectativa do novo milênio?
When I think about the millennium and this calendar change, for me personally, it's almost irrelevant, because many different people around the world keep different calendars. We happen to be operating here with a calendar that says we're going to cross a 1,000 mark, but other calendars are at 5,000 and something now and 7,000 and something now. So for me, in making films, our films are intended to be a gift to the audience. We take them on journeys to places they've never been, with characters that could only be done in animation, and hopefully with stories that have some thematic center that always, when you look back, has to do with decency and fundamental issues about getting along and how we treat each other, and ideas to chew on, to think on. And we'll continue to do that into the next millennium, as we've done in this century, and in really the latter half of this century when animation became so big. So for me, and when you make movies that are 4 and 5 years in process, you're not thinking about one moment, but you're thinking about films that hopefully have a sense of legacy and that will last.
And talking about 2000, I know Disney have a great film coming up exactly for the big night. Can you tell me about this project?
Well, Fantasia 2000 is a dream of Walt Disney's brought to life by his nephew, Roy Disney. Walt had intended the original Fantasia to be an ongoing concert. That is to say, it's made in sequences, and you could pull out maybe the Beethoven Pastoral and put a new sequence in, and then take another sequence out and put a new one in. I have a big notebook of Walt Disney's notes about other sequences he had thought about. So Roy Disney had the idea that we could begin fulfilling his uncle's dream, bringing our finest animators together, marrying them with sensational music, and creating an ongoing life for Fantasia. So on New Year's Day this year, around the world in IMAX theaters, we're opening Fantasia 2000. And then by next summer, it'll begin to open theaters in traditional 35mm, as you've seen Fantasia before. But it's a great new look at Fantasia, and a great new look at some music you probably know, some music you may not know, in different techniques, some computer animation, some animation in pastel, some watercolor. It's some of the most glorious animation you'll ever see, really celebrating the art of animation and the glorious music of so many composers.
Sorry to put you on the hot spot, you might not know, because I'm asking, but will we have an IMAX in Spain and in Brazil?
I don't know every IMAX location around.
Okay. Okay. The other project that I would like to talk about is the Dinosaur project. What is it about?
Our film Dinosaur is an extraordinary technological breakthrough. The technology of the movie you have to understand before you can even understand the story. The idea is that we have taken character animation of dinosaurs. thinking, breathing, feeling, laughing, talking, crying dinosaurs. Dinosaurs, not as they existed, but as they would exist in our imagination, the ability to talk and do all that. We've taken that computer animation and set it into live action backgrounds. Backgrounds shot in Venezuela and Hawaii and the Mojave Desert. All over the world, we've photographed locations and tell this story. And the story really begins at the time when mammals first became apparent on the planet and dinosaurs were in their last, if you will, 150,000 years, you know, when the first comet hits. And what we explore is the relationship between dinosaur and mammal and a group of dinosaurs who gather together in the beginning of this cataclysm and through triumph come together and to protect each other. It's an allegory. It's a story about how if we come together and work together, we can survive adversity. And it also deals with this fundamental idea that although you may become extinct someday, you in your moment don't recognize that and don't need to recognize that. Humans may be extinct 150,000 years from now, but today we think about how we take care of each other, who we are, and how we relate as a culture. And the same thing is seen in this movie. But it's an extraordinary technological breakthrough.
By the time my time is over, just to end, the last question I have to ask. I know you've been to Brazil. Will we have a chance to see at some day Joe Carioca and other friends of him come back to life in the screen? Vamos dia voltar a ver Zé Carioca na tela?
You know, I don't want to tease you or tempt you, but I was just in a meeting 2 weeks ago looking at Joe Carioca. So, who knows?